Greetings fellow Jedis and fellow Padawans, and welcome back to another lesson of modding in Minecraft. And yes, today is a very good day. Today we are going to create our very own ores. Yes, you've heard it, we are going to be creating our own ores for our world. Now ores, as you know, are all over the Minecraft world. However, what we're going to do is make a specific piece of ore that we can use to either use for crafting materials, we might want to smelt that ore, or we might want to make an item out of our ore. So what we're going to look at today is creating our ore first of all, make sure that our ore is textured, and then we'll look at defining a few little properties for our ore, which we're going to look at creating our own little bit of code. Yes, that means you're going to be doing a little bit of typing today, keyboard warriors, just to see if you are still listening to what's happening inside the tutorials. Okay, so let's get straight into it. So as you know, the ores are all over the world, and what we're doing today is creating a very specific ore for our world. And as you know, we've got this main.java file here that holds all our information. So just to recap, that main.java is where all our stuff goes into. For example, this bit here, which is all to do with our declaring of the object. And if you remember, the declaring is saying, well, Minecraft, I have this new item, please, can we create one? And you'll then declare it. And then we have this part down here, which is registering or running your items. Okay, so remember, this game registry here registered our item so that it registered itself within Minecraft, saying, well, hello Minecraft, here is my item and welcome to the game. And then we decide, well, let's add the texture into the game itself. Now when it comes to creating the ores, it runs on the same principle. Now I need to bring your attention back to this samples section here. Remember, in the samples section is where all our code lies. Now in our samples, we're going to look at ores. So this is lesson 4 here. Okay, so ores. So if we make this bigger, you'll notice that we've got quite a lot of files here. Alright, quite a few files. Now these 3 files here, these .json files, as you know, we have already done them for you. However, I will be explaining these .json files in an extra tutorial, just like the photo editing. So if you want to change your objects, this will be part of that as well. So you'll be able to see how to edit your images with the application. And you'll also understand what these .json files mean. But for now, what we need to focus on are these 2 here. So this main, as you know, anything with main.text here is going to go into our main.java here. And anything that's got class next to it is going to be its very own class. And if you remember correctly, we had to make a class for this test item here. Okay, so let's open up first of all, let's open up this main one here. And as you know, right from the beginning of the items, we had to declare our object. And what we're doing today is we're going to declare our test ore here. Now, all I want you to do, young Padawans and friends, is I just want you to grab this line of code here. Okay? Not anything above it, not anything below it, but just this line here. Okay? Remember to make sure you grab everything in this line, and I'd like you to copy it, either by pressing Ctrl+C or by right-clicking and saying copy. Alright? And it's saying, well, please, can you put me in this place called add to test item inside our main.java. And where does that go? Well, it goes right here where it says tutorial, or please place me right here by pressing Ctrl+V, or we could right-click and say paste. Whichever option you wanted to approach would be easiest for you. You choose which one is easier for yourself. Now we have a small issue here that's saying, well, at the moment, Wazza, we have a problem that we've got a little squiggly red line here, and we've got another little squiggly red line here. Well, if you remember from our previous session, those were errors. Okay, and we need to fix these errors. Now, if we refer back to our last session, when we put in this declare, we noticed that the items also had this funny little squiggly line. And just to refer back is saying, well, I am declaring a block. A block. That is correct. A block. Now, the block is exactly the same as OR. Now, what we have to do is we have to import Minecraft's very own code for this block. And to do so, we just hover over it, and we got all these selection methods here. Now, be very careful, young Padawans, is that we need to be careful that we don't bring anything that is not needed. Okay, what we are looking for is what belongs to Minecraft. Now, don't get confused between this one saying, well, it needs to be a biome. Okay, because we're not doing biomes just yet. We're just creating a simple OR block. So we're going to grab this one at the top here that says import block net.minecraft.block. Once we click on that, you'll notice that our error vanishes. And then we have another little issue that we've got this test OR here. Right, this test OR here, and if you remember correctly from our previous session, we had to create what they called a class. Okay, and to do that, we can quite simply just hover over it and create a class called test OR. So let's click on that. And whoa, hold on. What's happening here, Wes? Well, remember when we created our item, we had to create a package for that item. Now remember, we don't change anything in this line here, but we do change our package here. We keep the same name called tutcolc, but in this instance we're going to put dot, and you can see we've already got one called item or pick. Currently you shouldn't have the pick. Unfortunately, I did that tutorial before this one because I thought it would be more important to do ORs before pickaxes, so you'll just have to bear with it. So really you should only see dot item, but what we want to create is a block. Okay, so we're going to have tutcolc dot, whoops, if I can spell correctly, is dot block. Okay, so tutcolc dot block. Once you've done that, we're going to say finish, and as you can see, we've got a new package called block. And inside that package, we've got this class called testor.java. Now, Wazza, I've got all this code. What am I meant to do? Well, remember, it is as simple as going to your samples, your code, and now let's open up this class file right here. And what I'd like you to do is just grab all of this code, copy it, and then paste it on top of this. But oh no, Wazza, we have an error. The error is saying, well, the package here is called tutclc.blocks. But let's have a look. We have got tutclc block item pick. Can you work out what the error is? Let me give you a second. That is correct, if you manage to work that out. That what the issue is that it's called dot blocks. When it shouldn't be, it should be called dot block, not dot blocks. Okay, so a little bit of error finding there for you. Now what we have here is just the imports that are coming across from Minecraft. As you remember from the items, we had to grab that item, but in this case we've got the block. We had to grab the material, and then we also had to get the creative tabs that belong to Minecraft. And then what we're saying down here is we need to run a function called testor here. Now that testor, which is the name of our object, is extending onto the block of Minecraft. That block, if we go back to our main, is this little bit here. So we're saying this testor is going to act like a block inside Minecraft. And what we're saying is, well, here's the function. We're saying, well, the material of my ore is going to be a rock. Just a rock. You could have whatever you like. You could make it, okay, well, let's make this material of this ore like a cactus. Okay? Or you can have it as the material dot cloth, which you could break with your hand. You could have it as dot. Let's go crazy and let's make this into lava. But you don't really want to go mining now because you could get seriously hurt. So we will not do dot lava. But what we'll have is the pretty basic dot rock, which basically says we need to use any mining tool, i.e. pickaxes, to break this object. Okay? But we could use our hands if needs be because we haven't set certain properties just yet. This section here is saying, well, this is going to be called the test ore. And then we've got saying this dot set creative tab, it's going to belong in the tab block. And then we've got this one saying this dot set the light level of 3F. Now this is saying how bright will this block look like inside the world. So how bright would it look? All right? You could start adding more properties, and this is where I said we're going to do a little bit of coding. We could say this dot, and you notice we get quite a few bits of information here. Okay, so we've got hardness and we've got loads of other information that really, if you want to go through all of it, you may, but we'll look at things that are more important to us. And what we want to look at is we've got this block hardness saying, well, indicates how many hits it's going to take to break the block. Now, if I said block hardness and open up my brackets and then closed it off with my semicolon, i.e. this one here, okay, it's saying, well, I need a value. So if I put 2 in there, so it's going to take 2 hits to break my block. It's saying, well, this is the wrong one to use. Because what's happened now is that in 1.8 it's slightly changed. You have to use this one called set hardness. So it's saying I need to hit my block 2 times before it breaks. 2 times before it will break. Okay? And that's all it is. So let's save that. To save, you can go File and Save, or you could press Control and S. And you'll notice that it will save the file. Our last bit of section that we need to do is we need to bring our block into the game. So we need to register it. And we also need to bring our texture into Minecraft 2 with it. Okay, and now if you remember with the item, all that information was inside our main.txt file. So this main.txt file here. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to grab all of this. Because we already seen this code before, we can grab all of it. And we're going to paste this code into our run the item section. So let's find our run the item. Here it's here. And I already have it in. You shouldn't have it in. I think I've done that by accident. That I did this previously and I forgot to remove it. So we've got, oh no, that's the item. I'm going to run the ore, sorry. Run the ore. Where's it? Come on. Get your head in the game. So we're going to run the ore, so we're going to paste that in for our ore. Not the item, okay? Not the item. My apologies. We want to run it as the ore. Now you'll notice it's exactly the same as the item. There is no change. However, the only thing that is different is it's looking for a different name for the texture. Okay? Now, it's looking for the location of this thing called test ore. Now, if you remember, we created a texture and put it into our resources. So if it's closed on your screen, we expand the resources. And we've got our assets. And if you expand the textures, we have our item, which we bought in from our samples. What I would like you to do is inside your samples, go into your images, go into your blocks this time. Remember, an ore is not an item. It is a block, not an item. So if we're in our images and in our blocks, I want you to right click on that block and say copy. And our next step to do is just to right click and paste that block into our blocks here. Okay, so just to repeat that step, you're going to go into your samples, into your images, into blocks, right click this image and go into your resources, your assets, textures, and right click on blocks and paste. And that is it, young Jedis and Padawans. That is it. Let's play this now and let's see if this would work inside our Minecraft. So let's let it load up. And let's go into our single player mode. And let's go into our island of creepers. Silly Wazza. And there it is there. Our ore item is here in my inventory. It should not be in your inventory. How we need to find it in your inventory would need to go into game mode. Quickly, creepers coming into creative. Zombies, not creepers. They're all the same. They're green. Okay, they're green. And if we go into our inventory, we said, well, that block is going to be inside our building blocks. And it's going to be somewhere in here. Now, normally when you make a new object, it's right at the bottom. So if we go right down to the bottom, there is our ore right here. So let's throw that one out and let's grab some of this ore. Let's grab as much as we can. And there we go. And we can place this ore and look at that. See the lightness of it coming off the blocks? That's because in our code, if we go back to our code, we're saying this block is going to have a light level of 3F. So that's the brightness of that block, which is very important. Lost my Minecraft. Now, you didn't have to make it have light. We could have had it as nothing. You could have taken out that this.set light level. You could have removed that. But it's quite nice to have some nice shiny blocks around. And especially if you go deep into your ores, you can actually place them and use them as light. Sort of like glowstone. So you could use it as a light source. Instead of using your torches, you could actually use your ores if you wanted to. Okay? So let's test the idea of using our pickaxes against our ores. So let me just make sure those zombies are nowhere near me. There's one here. Please go away. I'm busy trying to teach people how to make our ores. And let's change our mode into survival. And let's try with our wooden pickaxe. 1, 2, 3. Oh dear. Right? Those are clicks. But if I hold it down, 1 tick, 2 tick. Let's try with the diamond pickaxe. 1, 2. Really quick. Now that's basically just the density of that ore that we represented with this information here saying we've set the hardness to 2. Now, depending on how hard you want that to be obsidian or whatnot, you'd increase that density, which would make it a lot more difficult for that person to break that object. And that's pretty much it. So let's recap. What we did is, in our main.java, we created this declaration for our block. We imported our block properties, so this block here, so we imported that. And we named our object testAll here. We then created the class called testAll, which is here. And what we did is we gave it the material of a rock. We named it testAll, and we put it in the tab called block. We then gave it a light level of 3F, and then we did a little bit of coding, and we said we're going to set the hardness of that block to 2. Okay? And then our last step, what we did is we then registered our ore, and then we put our texture, or registered our texture, to show inside Minecraft. And then our final step was to then copy this ore image here and place it into our assets here. And that is it. We have our very own ore inside Minecraft. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It was very nice doing it with you. Our next tutorial is to do with creating your very own pickaxe this time, and I will see you then. Thank you very much. My name is Weta. I shall see you in the next episode. See ya.